Rose.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Rhodes, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you to the board. My name is Kevin Bernstein. I'm providing these remarks on behalf of Crestwood Midstream, LP, formerly known as Inergy Midstream. I'll also be submitting some written comments as well by the end of the comment deadline. The state energy plan ignores a critical source of supply for residential and commercial heating, propane. The SEP for short, failed to identify any strategy or initiative to enable New York consumers to access a greater supply of propane or develop infrastructure to assist with efforts to address the significant price upheaval when New York is faced with a difficult winter like the one that is still upon us, even in March. In recent testimony before the House Energy and Power Subcommittee, the National Propane Gas Association stated that, quote, if there is one lesson learned from the 2013-2014 winter propane market conditions, it is that the infrastructure network was inadequate to meet consumer needs. There are a number of facets to this, and government can assist in ensuring that essential human needs are met. However, recent experience with the proposed Finger Lakes project located in Reading, New York, shows that, unfortunately, the government is not assisting in trying to avert this crisis. Constructing expanded underground propane storage in the Finger Lakes area near Reading is essential to meeting the Northeast's and New York's propane needs. There is a Northeast need, there's a New York State need, and there's a local need for greater propane infrastructure. Indeed, NYSERDA, in a 2010 report, stated that propane is an important heating fuel in New York State, and the strong demand during the winter heating season puts a strain on the industry's ability to meet that demand. New Yorkers and the entire region in general are highly dependent on propane shipments from outside the region. New York is at the tail end of what's called the TEPPCO, T-E-P-P-C-O, pipeline, which delivers propane for major primary storage facilities in Texas. TEPPCO recently reversed part of its line to deliver ethane south to the Gulf Coast from the Marcellus Utica shale regions, and this has inhibited the pipeline's capacity to deliver propane supply in New York. In recent testimony before the House committee that I mentioned earlier, the National Propane Gas Association stated that the permitting and constructing expanded underground propane storage in the Finger Lakes area near Reading is essential to meeting Northeast propane needs. The NPGA has called on Governor Cuomo to approve the facility, which adds over 88 million gallons of propane storage in a region where demand far exceeds local supplies. But the state of New York, including the DEC and the governor, failed to make a decision on a perfectly suitable underground storage cavern that has been nearly 5 years in the permitting process, with everything done the way DEC wants it done. DEC has all the information it needs to make a final decision, but yet it and the governor wait, and as a result, cost consumers in New York State, particularly with such a hard winter that we've had, and is still upon us. As noted by the National Propane Gas Association, we have seen a number of challenges confronting the propane supply chain, ranging from pipeline shutdowns to rail strikes in Canada to ships not coming in on time from overseas. Supply lines can and do break during the winter, and they have caused shortages in the past. This winter, propane marketers have found themselves needing to drive long distances to obtain supply. The propane industry is proposing to address these issues in a responsible way through initiatives like this Finger Lake storage facility. And now the draft state energy plan itself ignores the need and demand for propane in New York State, despite the fact that the vision set forth in the SEP notes that New Yorkers face rising costs and intensifying impacts of extreme weather. The SEP talks about how residential, commercial, and industrial customers have the tools to easily and efficiently handle their consumption, but New York State has not allowed these customers to utilize one of these tools, storage. Finger Lakes will ultimately make available 2.1 million additional barrels, or 88 million gallons, as I mentioned, of local supply that will be immediately available. Approval of the facility will also improve the resilience of the propane infrastructure in other regions of the United States. In recent weeks, a major propane storage facility in Ontario has seen very high demand due to its close proximity to New England and the Midwest. Were the Finger Lakes facility to be in operation, it would dramatically reduce New York's demand for propane stored in those areas. Approval of the Finger Lakes facility would have cascading benefits beyond New York and New England. However, unfortunately, regulatory inaction has caused consumers real dollars and has a direct impact on the willingness of companies to invest in New York, which we understand or understood to be open for business. These issues must be addressed in the final SEP, and it is time for there to be government action because New York consumers and residents simply cannot afford inaction. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bernstein, would you mind leaving?